Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Hang on 1 second. My thing's fallen out. Probably doesn't make any difference, but we'll go with it. Go with it anyway. Yes, I'm fine. I'm all alone.
I was going to say, are you toot Searle? Yeah.
I am. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Sarah off this morning at 8 o'clock at Steph's, and off they tootled to Kalamata Airport.
Okay, so I thought Steph was going back with Sarah was going back with the kids, but she was going back 4 days after them, was she?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she got a better flight price than to go today, and
okay.
It feels very weird, I have to say.
But nice, surely.
Well, I don't know yet. It's too soon to tell.
Okay. Yeah. But generally you like being there on your own, don't you?
I don't know is the answer. I did get used to it, and I did become perfectly at peace with it. But I don't know is the answer. I'll let you know.
Okay. I've realised that actually any sort of radical change like that takes me about a month.
Yes. Well, hopefully it won't take me that long. I think
it certainly wouldn't take me that long if people were leaving me alone. It would take me about 20 minutes. If that.
Yeah, no, it's very odd. Sarah's language of love is doing little jobs. So it's the first time, I've just realised that's the first time I've had to make my morning coffee for a couple of months.
Oh, yes. Well, that's a nice language of love. Bless Sarah for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And hanging out washing and things like that. And, the house just ran a lot more smoothly when she was here.
Yeah. I knew she was that kind of a bird, actually, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I've decided to take a couple of months off from the Vzine because Phoebe wants the summer before she decides what she wants to do with her life. And I thought, I'll just take a couple of months off from it because it was getting a bit of an onerous task. And I'm not sure what that's got implications for the podcast as well. But I've just decided to take at least August off from everything.
Yeah.
And try some new things.
Okay.
And also try and get this book written.
Okay.
So that my week's been all about the end of the children being here, adapting to Sarah going, and just usual stuff really.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
We should discuss implications of the podcast off call.
Oh, possibly, yes.
Yes, okay.
No, I don't mean this podcast. I mean the Vzine podcast.
Oh, I see, right, okay.
It generates a podcast as well, you see.
Okay.
But, I think after, 50-odd episodes, I think we can give it a month's break and see what happens.
Yes, I think that's true. I think actually there's so much content available. I'm not altogether sure that people notice, and I think they might be glad of it and then welcome it back.
Yeah, well, you never know, do you?
No.
No, we'll see. I mean, the real test will be do visitors' numbers to the website drop?
Yeah.
So I'll be monitoring that quite carefully.
Okay.
What about you then? What have you been up to this week?
When I wrote these notes earlier in the week, I'd written here, heatwave drones on. Sunday and Monday were completely airless and very sweaty. But now it's a little bit cooler in the mid-20s with rain promised for today and tomorrow. Then back to high and full sun for the weekend, which is the right way round, of course. Cooler in the week and hot at weekends. And I generally operate the little old Greek lady policy, which is doors and windows and curtains and blinds shut when it's really hot, and that does work. And of course, the big news this morning is that England crashed out of the football last night, which was a little bit sad. I'm not really into football. I think probably last night's was the first ever match I'd watched from beginning to end. But I was enjoying the national pride thing very much because identity and nationality is a very complex thing. I think especially for English, but I think actually every nationality listening will go, no, identity and nationality is a complex thing if you're Canadian and French and Brazilian and God knows what. It's complex, since one of my clients, one of our podcast listeners, one of our fans said something like I thought she was German, but her first name is French. And she then explained that she was half and half. And so if your identity is half and half, and your German team gets knocked out, but your French team might win, you've got two tickets, haven't you, in effect? But whilst that was all going on and the nation was absorbed in, leading up to and then coming down from the football match, wow, the tennis, OMG. I know you don't follow sport or tennis at all, but a brand new 6'8" South African genius came through yesterday, beating one of the all-time greats in a cliffhanger of a match that went beyond 5 sets to where they do sudden death, which is like 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4, 5-5. They were matching each other like that after 5 sets. And it went to something like either 13-15 or 14-12 or something, and the new guy won, and it's like, oh my god. And there are, so new people coming through, old people going out, old people winning as well, people being badly behaved. It was a massive day for sport yesterday, and honestly, I'm not really interested in sport.
No, I'm sitting here open mouthed.
I know. I'm really not interested. I am interested in Wimbledon sometimes. This year, not so much. I don't know. Oh, yes, because Murray isn't in it. But I'm not in the least bit interested in football. But the hero of the football. Well, I mean, there's lots of them, but one of the football heroes is Gareth Southgate, the man that manages the England team.
Yeah, everyone's thinking well of him.
Yeah, well, my middle nephew's called Gareth, and my middle nephew is obsessed with football, so much so that we have to hide the results of matches if he's not watched them live, and he has to say, don't tell me, and he loves social media, so he can't go on social media. But his team is Spurs, and the England team had a disproportionate number of Spurs players in there. So I'm really supporting all people called Gareth who like football this week, really. Especially if they're related to me.
I mean, we've had the funniest selection of widescreen TVs being jerry-rigged in every taverna here.
Yes,
and the kids were here for 2 matches, which they won, which was rather exciting. And last night was looking promising.
Yes, it was. I agree. And you said that the Greeks had switched their allegiance or were following England. Yeah. And interestingly, quite a lot of the Russians were as well. Really fascinating little vox pops on the BBC website of who's supporting who and why. And it's all very odd in a delicious way, actually.
Yeah. Well, we went to the Five Brothers and sat in the furthest corner so that we could actually see the widescreen TV and hear the hey.
Yes.
Without actually having to have it.
Well, the first half was great. Second half was really quite difficult to watch.
It was very quiet. That's for sure. Everyone was. Yeah. I knew it wasn't going well because everyone was so quiet.
Yes.
But there you go. So what has fuelled your fire this week?
Well, I think you're going to be shocked.
No, go on.
Yeah, you're going to be shocked. And I should preface what I'm about to tell you more than once with the fact that I'm just thinking about doing this, okay? Just thinking about this at this time, it says here in capital letters.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Do you?
But yes, let's see if I'm right.
Oh, I'm thinking about de-niching.
De-niching.
Okay. Un-niching.
Well, I thought you were just going to say that you were going to change your niche completely.
I'm going to de-niche. You know what coaches say at the beginning. There are so many things I can help people with. I can help people with their business, their life, their money, their low carb. And the heart of what I do is a conversation, a transformational conversation, talking to clients in a way that makes a difference and helps them. I do have another URL, but I don't really believe in one woman, more than one website. And my current website is overdue a relaunch. I'm only thinking about this at this time, but tomorrow's newsletter goes into more detail.
Oh, okay. Fascinating. I think the thing is, as long as you still say what you can help people with, then it makes it nice and easy for them to say, oh, yes, I fit there. That's what I need.
Well, funnily enough, somebody sent me an email this morning that said, I get your newsletters forever, but this is the first one I've ever wanted to respond to. So she didn't want any business advice, but she wants some low carb advice. Yay!
Well, that's a big market, isn't it?
Well, it proves the point I've been banging on about for some time, that people won't buy what they need, which is business support. They will buy what they want, which is to help to be thin.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I've had a lot of conversations this week in the induction calls with people who have got an issue with crisps.
Well, they are quite tempting.
Let me offer you a little tip here.
Go on then.
Pork scratchings are entirely carb-free.
Yeah, but really, it's so counterintuitive, this, isn't it?
Well, that's why they need 90-day support from me.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a diet. This is what you choose to eat, and instead of what what you think you're addicted to. I mean, the funny thing is that people tell me on day one, don't take my cake away, don't take my crisps away. It's like, honestly, in a few weeks' time, you won't care. Yeah. And they don't. But yesterday was crisp day. I spoke to 2 or 3 people who thought they had an issue with crisps.
I've got a cupboard full here because the kids bought massive amounts and then didn't.
Yeah.
So I might have to just stamp all over them or something.
Or give them away. Give them away. You know, you could be the bountiful Lady Bounty Lady Bountiful down the town with a basket round your neck full of free crisps.
Yeah, take the free crisps, please.
Yes, exactly.
Do me a favour.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. How exciting is that? So when will you decide
about de-niching? Well, let's see how it goes across the summer.
Okay. All right.
Tell me what's fueled your fire.
Well, interestingly, it's a similar kind of thing, because I've been flip-flopping about, just trying to work out where I want to go next. I want to go in the same place, but I want to find a real... I spoke to Jeremy, and that really fueled my fire because he's an MD of a big company,
yes.
a manufacturing company.
Yes.
And I thought there must be other MDs like out there like him. And then I went back to, no, I just want to serve people in my membership site because I'm having such a lovely time with the 21-day challenge. I really love doing those. And people are, well, I'll tell you more about that later. But so that brought me back to the one-to-one coaching again through the membership site, which I love. And I do love it. And then an old client popped up, and this is someone who is finally stepping into a space that she's been wanting to inhabit for a long time. And she's really got the resources to do it properly. And she's put out feelers about her first event, and it's really got some interesting traction. And she came to me and she said, look, Nicola, I really don't want to go into doing all this myself. I'm in your, she's joined my membership for a year so she can ask me questions again, and got a stonking deal as well, because she'd been one of my first ever clients in the membership site, and she got to renew at the same price. But she's done that. But she said, really, I've just started watching the videos, and I really just want someone to do it all for me. I want a marketing partner and someone who's got the resources to just get it done. And I thought that is really I would really love to do that with, say, 2 or 3 clients, just become their marketing department, make sure, put the strategy together with them, make sure it all gets done, and they just concentrate on what they're good at. Yes. And this lady has got, she's got the resources to do it properly, and for me to get paid according to value, the value that I'm going to bring. And so we had a very nice conversation. I thought, I wonder how I can attract a couple more of those.
Yes,
because that at the membership site would sort.
Well, that's a very good question, and it's a very good question to be asked in that light way. I wonder how I can attract another couple of those.
Yes, very nice. Yes. And because that that and the membership site would keep me happy for the rest of my life, along with writing sci-fi books. So.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm pondering on today, and that fueled my fire quite a lot.
Marvellous.
So today we are going to be focusing on
a guest. Yes, a guest. Our guest today is Chloe Constantine, and she's going to talk about our family business. Chloe's in business with her twin sister Pippa Campbell, and their family business is 12 years old. And Chloe shares with us stories of how the entire family is involved, including what their husbands do in the business after they get home from their day job, and how the sisters chose and carved out their roles and responsibility. And she explains it all came down to the 3 Ps of passion, perseverance, and partnership. Their business is called Feet First. It makes castings of babies and children's feet in Surrey and in London. And despite their being twins, fortunately, Chloe and Pippa are non-identical and have been able to play very different roles in their business by choice. They're both mothers, which means they've been able to help their customers make important decisions at that busy time in their lives, new mums, a time which they want to commemorate with a casting. So we'll listen to Chloe, shall we?
Yes.
Lovely. Okay. I was just going to say I'm terribly excited because Chloe and I worked together until February 2007, which is over 11 years ago. I would regard Chloe as a friend. I think, Chloe, I was thinking about this overnight. Were you one of my first ever coaching guinea pigs? Did I come to your house in the Chase and talk about the meaning of life and stuff?
Oh, Judith, I was one of your first.
And actually, you two share the fact, you don't know this, well, I think Chloe might, but Nicola won't. You were both at my 50th birthday party, which is 13 years ago.
Wow, that's going back. You actually coached me when I was in France over the phone when I'd left my job. Don't know if you remember that.
I do a bit, yes.
Yes.
And since then, you've had 2 lovely children. You've set up in business with your sister, a beautiful business, which I'm going to get you to describe in a minute. You are married to one of the tallest and most handsome men I've ever met. And you're all still together very happily, even though you've had ups and downs in your life.
I totally have, yes. Yeah. All of that is true and all good at the moment, yes.
Good. So tell us about your business, first of all. Introduce yourself to the audience, if you would.
Yes, my name is Chloe Constantine, and I run a partnership business with my twin sister, Pippa Campbell, called Feet First. And we make baby sculptures of children's hands and feet in 3D sculptures as well as impressions for children's and babies of all ages, which we find we're travelling 50% of the time to their house or they come to our house. How it works is they have a casting taken with us. And then we turn it into, memorable sculptures for them to keep forever. So we're basically capturing a moment in time while those babies are tiny.
Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah. Well, me, because I haven't got any children, but I think it is...
Okay, well, 80% of the population would want it.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks, Nicola. It is basic. We do adults as well, but most of our business is babies, and that's what we're here to capture as much detail as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And it's a full-time business. So we started up 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So when Max was born, that's what sort of woke it all up, really. I had his castings done with another company, and this poor lady came round to take his molds, and I just questioned this lady big time. I was going, what are you doing? How are you doing that? Da. She looked exhausted when she left. I totally took on board what she was doing. I thought it was really interesting and perhaps something I could do as a new mum with less time on my hands. And I was looking for a change in career. So it was kind of how it all started, really.
But Chloe, a business that's 12 years old is a proper business, love, isn't it?
It is now. At the beginning, no, it wasn't. We were both doing other jobs at the same time. But now it's full-time now. And we run it from 2 separate log cabins, one in each of our gardens. And we run it from our homes as well. So we literally have to be very organised with where the castings are, who's doing what. That's how it's done, really. But yeah, it's a homegrown business, but it's good now. It's full on, full time. Yeah.
Good for you. Now, I've got down here in my notes, woman, sister, mother. Is that what we're going to talk about today, about being women?
Totally. So, so Pippa is my twin sister. We've always worked together, and we worked together while I was working with you, actually, Judith.
Yes, no, well. I know Pippa. And funnily enough, you're the most unlike twins I've ever met.
This is very true. So we're not identical twins. The only similarity, if you look at us in the face, is actually our eyes.
Okay.
The rest is different. We couldn't be more. We're totally non-identical, and the same goes for what we do and what we bring to the business as well. Actually, the interesting thing is when we first started this out, we were sort of scrabbling about trying to get everything together and both completing half roles each, and then we suddenly sat down one day and we wrote down all the things you needed to do, all the roles and responsibilities to run a business like this. And then we both went away and looked at the list, and I said, right, I want you to put your initials next to the ones you think you can add value to or that you'd really want to do in this business. And we both did that. We sat at the table, we both wrote down, we put the list back together, and they were completely separate.
Thank heavens.
Can you believe that?
Well, I can believe that, and I'm chuffed to hear that for the sake of the business. But do you know, this is an E-Myth exercise. Did I ever recommend you read that book? It's brilliant.
No.
Oh, you've done this without reading the book. Oh, that's marvellous. Even better.
No, so I think with every business you need to have clear roles and responsibilities. Otherwise, things just fall through the holes, and know who's doing what, and then it just gets picked up. Stuff gets picked up. You know what you're doing. So yeah. That's one of the main things that work really well for us is we've both got very different skills and things that we both love doing. So it's made it easier, and it also, we sort of a great partnership really, because we both get to do the things that we both love to do. So
yeah.
yeah.
And remind me, is Pippa a mum?
Yes, we're both mums. So Pippa has 2 children. Her children are 18 and 15.
Okay.
And my children are 10 and 12. So both at the stage now, we've got more time on our hands now that their baby's all done.
Yeah.
So
So the brilliant thing about this is it's a kind of wheels within wheels. Your sisters, your mothers, your women, and your customers are women and mothers.
All of those, yes.
Yeah.
Just a bit, obviously. But,
yes.
Yes. Oh, yes. So we completely relate with our clients. We know exactly what they're going through. We know when they turn up late and haven't got themselves out the door. We know why that is. That's totally fine. That's all good. And yeah, we can completely relate with our clients. We try and mirror them as much as possible. So if you get an email saying, "Dear Chloe," I'll always write back, "Dear such and such." Or if they turn up and we turn up and they answer the door without their shoes off, our shoes are straight away off. And we just try and make them feel as much at ease as we possibly can. And we also walk them through the whole process of what we're about to do before we start, so everybody's chilled and relaxed. Because if we've got a nice relaxed baby, then we'll get a lovely relaxed casting. So it's sort of kind of win-win really. So yes.
And do you ever have to deal with dads, or is this an all-female thing?
Yeah, we do. We get the dads. Dads turn up a lot just before Mother's Day when they've borrowed the baby and said, "Oh, don't tell my wife." And we do get dads, and we get the whole family. Sometimes we have a whole kitchen full of the whole family. I mean, that's just, we don't mind who turns up. Really, is whoever feels they want to come along, or whoever's present when we turn up at their house. So yeah, and sometimes we do mother and baby and mother, dad, and baby hands all together in one casting. So
that's nice.
Yes, a complicated casting, but beautiful when it's done. So, yes, and that's the kind of top and bottom of it. But I think for me and Pippa, the main thing is getting a really good product, producing something we're both completely proud of, but having a life at the same time. So, just making sure we work to the right hours and nobody's is stressed, or the scales aren't tipped to a point where somebody's tearing their hair out. And that does happen occasionally, and if it does, it usually results in perhaps a little bit of a Barney which needs sorting out. But as that's going to happen with 2 middle-aged women with hormones flying and just want a total brilliant product, and you've got to fight for that sometimes. Yeah.
Chloe, do you have you don't do the technical bit, do you? The concretey, you take the cast, but what happens after that?
Right. So we spend our life going back and forward because of the responsibility. So Pippa takes the castings.
Yeah.
And she gives them to me.
Yeah.
And then I make a silicone mold, a lost wax, or a resin. Then I give them to her. Okay. She finishes them and she gives them back to me to put in a frame and dispatch.
Oh, so you are doing the technical bit, you two. I thought there might be a foundry involved or something like that.
There is a foundry involved for the solid bronzes and the glasswork.
Okay.
But we sometimes have to meet in Mitcham car park because we're handing over sort of dodgy looking boxes where we're work over, because we're on timelines and deadlines, and I'll say, "Look, can you just meet me on the way to a job? I've got some work for you." And we just meet in the car park at Cannons, and then we fly off again. And that's because that's midway from both of our houses, and that's how it's done. Really.
You've probably got a whole department of the CIA watching you or something. What are they exchanging in those boxes?
I'm sure it looks really dodgy from anyone watching us do that, but yes, that's.
As your 12 years have gone on, has it got easier? Do you find being in business easy today? What?
I do actually. I totally love what I do, and I've got it all sorted now. I think it's just finding the right process, and that's taken a long time. Like, for instance, making a lost wax, which is pouring a wax into a mold, sounds really, really simple, but if you don't get that temperature bang on, you're not going to get a good one. And I can't tell you, that has taken me nearly 10 years to master.
Yeah.
And I was doing them over and over and over again. I was thinking, why isn't it working? And doing loads of research. I went on courses, and then one day I sussed it. I was thinking, that has taken me 10 years. Now I'm just pouring them, and they're just great.
And what kept your pecker up in those 10 years? Because many people would have given up in 10 years.
It has to be perfect, and there's always got to be a good way to do it. And I kept thinking, I've got to find it. Why isn't it working? My brain was like, why aren't these things working? And I think that's what keeps me rolling with that. So I'll go into my workshop, which is just as I said, it's a log cabin, and I'll turn the machine on, the waxer on, and I'll think, right, today I'm going to try something different. And you get there by just perseverance a lot of the time, don't you? So I think that's a long time in the business doing the same thing, but I just want it to be, we want it to be great. And so you have to fight for that, definitely.
I think, interestingly, we probably would all feel this about our business, but there's something about your product that means it's got to be perfect for the punter, or nearly perfect, because there's that moment in their age, and if it's not right, that's not going to come again, is it?
Totally. Yeah, we've got 1 hour with our clients, or however long, and we've got that moment. So we take 2 or 3 castings of the babies, the molds, so that when they're left, we've got backup. So we get to choose which is the best one.
Yeah.
I just think, should always put something great in a box, and sometimes it might mean I'm pouring a resin 2 or 3 times, but as long as when I get to that point where it's being wrapped up in a beautiful tissue with a ribbon, I'm going, that's lovely, I love it.
Yeah.
And that's how I should feel about everything going out the door,
Yeah. Nicola, you wanted to ask something.
Yes. How? I've got 2 questions. One about geography and one about marketing. How do you market your business? What have you found works best? And how do you cope with the fact that you're quite geographically limited?
Very good questions, both of those. So the first one, the marketing. So my husband, Paul, runs our Google AdWords account, and he has done that for us from pretty much the day one. That's what got us off the ground. New business came in the door that way from our website, which we both put together, Pippa and I put together. And so new business comes in that way for the marketing sense. And then I think we've got most of our other business through we nearly always get the second baby if there is one, because they weren't exactly the same. So we'll get the business that way. And word of mouth is the third way that we get business. Yeah. So, and the second question, geographically. So that ties into the Google AdWords thing, actually, because there is a thing you can do on Google AdWords that you can refine where your actual search shows.
Yeah.
So you can say, because Pippa and I can only cover as far as we can literally get in the car and drive to. So that's most of Surrey and most of London. And then anything above that, we might do, but we'd do it on a Saturday, or we'd try and, figure it out. But so we can geographically say on Google, right, don't show our advert in, Ipswich or Manchester.
And Surrey and London must be a big enough catchment area.
Oh, totally big enough market. Yeah, I've always said this about London. It's a big enough market for any business, quite frankly. But Surrey and London is perfect, isn't it?
Yes, because I'm in Surrey and Pippa's in London. So,
yeah.
And so, because I'm in Sutton, so the clients can come to us if they prefer.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Yeah.
So it's totally up to them. It's what they want. So, I mean, there's a home visit charge. They don't have to pay that. We'll either turn up at their house if they wish, or they can come to either of our addresses. So those are the 3 options to actually have the castings done.
Yeah.
Right. I love that it's so simple and so clear and so defined. It must be very, what do you do when you get people asking you outside the area? Do you just have to decline, or do you pass them on to other business?
I have passed a couple on, but I will always look at it first. I jump straight onto Google Maps and go, right, okay, how far really is that? And it really is a question of Pippa getting in the car, because she's doing predominantly all of that. And is she going to spend the whole day in the car just to do a single casting? That won't be worth it for them or for us. Yeah. So there's a point in those. But sometimes we'll get a big job that's maybe right at the top end of North London, which is a bit of a drive for us, and we'll both go on that, and we'll go on a Saturday morning when there's no traffic, and we'll get it done. And so it really does depend what they want and exactly where they are and can we get there. And I do sometimes pass a few over, but generally we just say, I help them with their Google search. The first thing I do is say, look, what I think you should do is try putting your area in the Google search, and then you'll find other companies rather than us, who are absolutely miles away. Yes. So yeah, geographically it has to be, we have to get to them, we have to see the baby, we have to meet the family, and so distance is a real key here.
Now I'm going to ask you a quite hard question that I haven't prepared you for in advance. What do you reckon, what's the secret of your success, the two of you, the success of this 12-year-old business?
Oh goodness me. Well, I think it's we're both really passionate about getting a really good product back. So as I said a couple of times, we do fight for that. But I think Pippa and I are possibly a lot to do with that, because when we work together, we finish each other's sentences a lot of the time, which I think is a twin thing. But we both know what they want, and we both try and deliver that. And I think between us, we've actually, as one partnership, we've pretty much got everything that we need to run this business. So I think the partnership possibly is the secret of it. And we spend hours and hours doing what we do. We don't make a lot of money off. If you were to work out all the hours that we spend,
your effective hourly rate.
We spend hours at them, and we don't even worry too much about that. It's just like, right, that's a good one, So,
but you love it, don't you?
I do love it. But
shall I tell you what the answer to this question is, by the way? Because it's the 3 Ps: passion, perseverance, and partnership. That's what you've in my notes already. I'd written down. Actually, I thought it was passion, perseverance, and Pippa, but then you gave me partnership.
Pippa and I are partnership.
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing. But yeah, it is all about doing something that you love. I mean, believe me, it's not all that. This is all the lovely stuff. Sometimes it's difficult. We do have difficult things to do in our roles, which I'm not really going to talk about on here. But it also, we have to work closely together, and family comes first, and that's difficult sometimes when you're trying to run a business and say it's all going a bit wrong, and you'll find each other shouting at each other, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how do we get this? How do we sort this out? And it just comes from being two completely different people looking at something from different ways, and me saying, well, try it like this or try it like that, and jumping in the car and going to help each other. And again, it's a strong partnership. And this built up from absolutely nothing. And initially we were going to join a franchise, and we were going to part with God knows how much money. I can't tell you now. It was a lot. And then the night before we were going to start, the lady sent us an email going, we want another £10,000. People and I are like, what? and that was real alarm signals. And I can't tell you how much that when my accountant said to me, go it alone. And I looked at the whole thing, and as a whole, I thought, I can't do this. I've got a brand new baby. How am I going to go alone? How am I going to start this business off on my own with Pippa as well? But how are we going to do this? And then I took a step back and thought, I can't join that partnership with that person. And what if they come back to us and say we want another £10,000? Or it's all big bucks. So we started it up on £3,000. Yeah, and we did it on our own, and it's been a real slow burn, but we've made all the decisions ourselves, and that I love most of all, really.
It's a really wonderful story of sisterhood, womanhood, sisterhood, motherhood, femaleness, instinct, family. It's a family business. It's lovely, and actually, you do
this without your husband's support, could you? They must be all in on this as well.
Oh, they're all in, Nicola. They're all in. So my Paul's running the Google account when he comes home from work. My brother-in-law's doing all of our advertising, does all of our designs, all our graphics, and all our everything. He does everything to do with our artwork. My mum's making all the little white bags and sewing the logos on. And I know, seriously, they're all in. They all tip up with little bags and stuff. Go, here you go, Claire. I've done your bags today. And Paul will say, I've looked at your Google today. And honestly, they're all roped in.
Yeah, but they don't sound roped. They sound like they want to be in.
Yeah, they are in. They're in with passion as well, I reckon. Yeah. The whole family's involved. Yeah. It is very much.
What a really lovely, heartwarming story, Chloe. Thank you.
No, thank you. And the other thing I wanted to say that we do is we try and keep ourselves very current. So because what we make goes on people's walls, it's really important that we keep up to date with the frames that we choose and make sure they're all lovely flower and ball paints, and that literally they're things that people want on their wall. And that involves a lot of work. So that involves changing the samples constantly, changing all the images, rephotographing everything. Our product range just keeps getting bigger and bigger because they're still offering for the first baby. They might have had the oak frame, and now they want a flower and ball, Crawford's breath or whatever.
But actually, you've heard us talk on this show a lot about how much easier it is to sell something that people want than something that people need. So actually, I'm feeling some envy again that the thing that you sell is so desirable.
Oh, thank you. Well, as long as I think it's desirable as well. I mean, it's what we make it for them. So whenever we sit down, we offer them sometimes the client looks totally bombarded, and I had to take a step back going, okay, I think I've offered too many choices. And then we've got a tired mum in front of us with a small baby thinking,
I can imagine how that's
we've just done a casting, and now you're asking me to make a decision on what coloured frame, and you've offered me 8 different colours. And I look at them and I just say, look, just take the photograph.
And Chloe, if you're in their house, can you, and you've been in their position, can you make that decision for them?
Well, we can guide them. We can guide them. That's all we can do. We can guide them. We can show them what looks nice. We can say this is really popular. Pippa drags 2 suitcases halfway across London with so much stuff in them, and she turns up at the door, and I think maybe she's moving in. I mean, but it's about having the choice, and we've literally spoken to them at length to find out roughly what they're interested in, and said to them, if there's anything other than this you want us to bring, let us know. But there's a lot of stuff. And
you couldn't do this business without the passion, because otherwise it would just all feel like hard work.
Well, dragging it up. People phone me and say, today I dragged 2 suitcases up 8 flights of stairs.
Oh no!
And I think, oh gosh, I wish I was with her, and I didn't know the logistics of that, and so it's all it's how it is. You don't know what you're going to get till you arrive sometimes, and that's all part of it. Pip says to take a deep breath at the door. I take my shoes off. I get ready. I lay it all out, and we're good to go. Yeah,
I was going to say take a good breath, because take a breath now, because your passion is infectious. But we've got to bump you off because we've got another one in 5 minutes. But Nicola, anything we need to say to Chloe very quickly before she goes?
I would love to know more about this business. I love the nuts and bolts of businesses. It made me laugh about you grilling that woman who came to your house, because anyone who gets sexy with me, they're going to get a grilling about their business. So thank you so much, Chloe. I've really enjoyed hearing from you, and what a lovely business.
Yeah, what a lovely business.
Lovely to talk to you both today.
Good. Lovely to hear you, and we'll let you know when you're the star of the show, okay?
Oh, bless. Okay. Bye.
See you soon. Bye. Bye.
That was lovely, wasn't it?
Oh, she's such a smashing girl, I can't tell you. She and I used to work together about 15 years ago, and she was one of my very earliest guinea pig coaching clients when she lived in France briefly, and then she lived across the street, and I used to go and visit her in her lovely house. She's married a lovely man. They've got lovely children. She's got a lovely life. They've got a lovely business. Pippa's lovely. It's all lovely in Chloe's world.
What gorgeous little things. I mean, I would certainly have had that done for my children if I'd realised.
If it had existed back then. I don't think it did. It's a modern business, isn't it? Or a more modern business.
Yeah, but I can't think of anything more delightful.
Yeah.
So what's your word of the week then?
Oh, it's a strange one, actually. The penny dropped this week around a word which is gazette, which you probably know is a word for a newspaper. And there's such a newspaper as the London Gazette. And the London Gazette is a place where things that are required to be published, like notices that businesses are being closed down by Companies House or bankruptcies or whatever, things that are required legally to be published, they go in the London Gazette. And I was following another story in another part of the world where there's a lot of talk about things being published in the Gazette, and I suddenly realised it wasn't just the London Gazette. Every nation has a gazette where they publish these things. Anyway, so it's a funny word looking at it. It's a strange word that we don't really use. But the excitement for me was like, oh, it's not just the London Gazette. Everybody's got a gazette.
Oh, okay. So is there one in every country? Or is there one?
Well, I don't think there's one in every country, but any country that has the same sort of legal structure where you're required to put the population on notice of something is likely to have a gazette, which is not something anybody reads, but it's there if you go looking for it, this information.
That's funny. We were reading, our reading club was reading Hard Times by Charles Dickens.
Oh yes. God, and how did you get on with that?
No, I didn't get on with
it.
No.
I
forced my way to 150 pages.
Okay. No Charles Dickens at all? Is there any other Charles Dickens you've tried?
I've read lots of Charles Dickens and I enjoyed it enormously.
Yeah, but not Hard Times. No.
It was so difficult. But everybody in the reading club said so, apart from the chap who suggested it. So
right. Okay.
He said he had been feeling, the ghostly feeling of pins being stuck in him all week.
Yeah.
And we're on to something rather nice now. Jodie Picot.
Oh, I love her. Yes. Which one?
Small Big Things or something?
Oh, yes. That's a current-ish one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I'm
yes, very popular. I haven't read that one yet, but it's on my wish list.
Well, I'll be reading it over the next month, and then something nice after that. So I said in the meeting, the pressure's on for the next one. I tell you, because it's been two that I hated and two that.
Let me tell you about Jodie Picou. It's very light reading, but she sells in massive numbers, so it's an impressive business model for somebody who wants to write fiction.
I've had an idea for a chicklit, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
a chicklit book club kind of book.
And is that audience bigger than sci-fi? But is it bigger than sci-fi?
Absolutely huge. Yeah,
is it?
It does very, very well on Kindle.
Well, it's interesting because I wanted to talk to you about sci-fi, which isn't a genre that I will ever read. But in one of the forums I'm in, increasingly things are talked about that sci-fi is about, coming into our reality.
Yeah.
And it's not so fantastic anymore because, the modern inventions and everything were things that have been forecast in sci-fi novels of the past. So it's interesting.
Sci-fi is basically a rattling good story with great characterization and a plot set in the future.
Yeah, it's that set in the future that has never historically interested me because it's so bloody weird.
Well, it can be, depending. I mean, there's different kinds of sci-fi, obviously, but we're getting right off the topic here.
Yes, give me your word.
Adapt.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be adapting over the next week to being on my own again, and the people around here are adapting to the fact that the weather's getting super hot.
Yes.
They adapt to the fact that, the World Cup was on, so everyone was stringing up televisions everywhere.
Yes.
And things like they had a really incredible day last week when the World Cup was on. Actually, they had a swimming race. I think it was 3 kilometres out into the bay, across the bay, and then back. And then they also a lot of people then ran a marathon in different lengths. And this was at 8 o'clock at night because it's the only time when it's even remotely cool enough to do things like that.
Yeah.
And the person who won it was a young girl of 12 years old. The swimming competition, which was rather marvellous.
And was the marathon 26 miles or shorter than that?
It was 5 kilometres, 10 kilometres, or 15 kilometres.
So it was a little bit like a triathlon. It was a biathlon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a biathlon, exactly. Yeah. But the very fact that human beings can adapt to run in that kind of temperature, it's still 32 at 8 o'clock.
Well, it must be remembered that the ones that win the marathons come from Kenya, where it's as hot as hell all of the time. Yeah. But I will tell you that human beings, white ones, couldn't run a marathon when I was a child.
Couldn't run a marathon?
No. There were 6 people in the Olympic one and they were dead on their feet when they got to the end. So that massive thing where, hundreds of thousands of people run marathons every year has happened in my lifetime.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's about beliefs, isn't it? It's a bit like the 4-minute mile. Once somebody else has done it in your, you think, oh, perhaps I could do that. And then people have developed the training for it and blah, blah, blah. Back to your word, adapt. I love how adaptable the human race is and how we make fun out of things like, here we are, you and I talking about football. We're not interested in football, but we are interested in what the World Cup did for your community, my community. Do you know what I mean? It's like a funny thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, very interesting. Project updates then.
Well, this week I've launched a low-carb group, my 90 days pilot, my first ever one. I've got to the end nearly with my 3 one-to-one clients, and I'm doing, everybody said, oh, it's much too expensive. Can you do a group? Yes. Here's my pilot group, 90 quid for 90 days, which is an absolute bargain, plus a testimonial. So July to October, I sent it out on my newsletter, blog, tweets, Facebook note, Facebook shop, Lumen 5 video. And later I might even do a Facebook competition. I can really make a difference to people's lives. And I've spent the week inducting people and talking about crisps.
Nice. So that's what you're going to be really neck deep in for the next 90 days then? Yeah,
well, crisps weren't really my nemesis, to be honest. It's more a packet of biscuits. But it's a fascinating psychology, really. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You must be really funny, very interesting talking to all those people.
Well, I like the fact that you said, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I like making sales. I like making sales, and that had got very, very difficult in the business space, but is very, very easy, or comparatively easy in the I want to be thin space.
Wow, very nice, interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to press on with my Alexa daily briefings, which I didn't get any done last week at all, but I realised didn't matter at all. So,
do you need help with those? If Phoebe's off for 2 months, do you need help with those, or is that something you do solo?
No, Sarah does this for me.
Okay.
It's like a podcast, effectively, and it goes everywhere, and I'm having hundreds of downloads, which is interesting.
Well, that may work better, at least as well as, if not better than, the Vzine.
Yes, I know, and I don't know, Judith, is the answer. I feel very reluctant to give up the Vzine, but I also, it is quite labour intensive and relatively expensive to produce, and it's hard work for me to come up with a different topic every week, but it does force me to do that. But I think I'm going to spend the next 2 months repurposing everything and into things like the Alexa daily briefings. And I'm also Instagram TV. I've got my first vertical video on Instagram TV, which is being created out of my sideways videos for my business tips that I use on my my own 21-day challenge kind of thing.
Yep.
So the Be Everywhere Online thing is still spinning off, really great content. So I think I'm going to, press on with that for the next 2 months and see what happens. And just try. There's lots of things I want to learn. I want to learn how to do YouTube advertising. I've got plenty of stuff to be getting on with.
Yeah.
So that's my project updates for now.
Marvellous.
Who or what has impressed?
Well, we're probably going to say the same thing. Everyone involved in getting those boys out of the caves in Thailand, the divers, the doctors, and how it was handled all round. They got 4 boys out over 3 days. They didn't announce which ones were out and which ones were in, so that nobody could be disappointed if there were deaths. They were going to bring out the strong ones first and then leave the weak ones to last. And then an Australian diver doctor flew in and said, "No, we'll do it the other way." I was really worried about leaving the weak ones to last. They got them all out. I mean, it's just heroic what they did.
It's fantastic.
I know.
I literally have just come to this story in the last 2 days because Elon Musk was designing.
Yes, he was.
Submarines.
Unfortunately, he couldn't do it fast enough. But I tell you what, if you and I were in that cave, we wouldn't have got out because there was a space they had to get through, which was 40 centimetres. And I don't think I've got a dimension that's as small as that.
One wrist, perhaps.
Yeah.
What on earth were they doing in there in the first place?
Have you never done my friend Nicola and I have certainly done, not quite so stupid as that, but we've done stupid things where you land up in, life-threatening situations. You go out in the hire car on holiday before you've unpacked, you haven't got a phone, you haven't got your phone sorted, you haven't got a map, you haven't got water, you've got the roof down on the car, and you go down a road and it gets narrower and narrower, and then you get stuck in the mud. And it's like, oh my God, what have we done? I have been in, or you're driving on a mountain road and the tarmac runs out and then the water's running short, and I don't know whether they got lost or they exceeded their capacity or what, but human beings have a propensity to get themselves into trouble.
Yeah, and the fact they got all of them out, because that one of the early rescuers died, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes,
and he was giving other people.
Well, first of all, that they found them. I mean, I don't know if you've looked on the BBC website at the 3 guys who did it, the divers, but they're so. Well, first of all, they're terribly handsome, but they were scared doing it as well. Because it was a very difficult dog. So they put their lives at risk to save 12
and these are the Yorkshiremen, are they, that went out
there?
They
were mixed. They were all nationalities. An truly international effort, actually.
Oh, wow.
But my hero was the Australian doctor who was also a diver. And he said, no, we're not bringing the strong one. When I read the article, it was bringing the strong ones out first and leaving the last ones till the weak ones till last. Well, no, that's a sensible thing to do because that's about the survival of the fittest. But I wasn't happy with it. It's like, and I kept thinking for 2 days, 48 hours, I kept thinking, oh no, by the time they get back for those other ones, they'll be dead. I was really worried about that. And then this Australian doctor flew in. He was a proper diver, so he knew what he was talking about. He said, no, we're not doing that. We're reversing it. We'll bring out the weak ones first and leave the strong ones to last. And they got them all out.
Well, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Well, and what that lesson is speaking up above the corporate wisdom, isn't it?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Persuading people to your argument.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go and read the entire thing afterwards.
Yeah,
videos
it's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was sorry, I wasn't going to say that because I haven't really been following the story. But the participants in my 21-day challenge who's impressed me, I had 80 people the first time round, and I think about 10 to 20, 10 really got stuck in, and about another 10 had a go and gave up about day 5 or something. But this time round, I've only had 42 participants, but they are all highly engaged. I'm getting questions every day. They're over the hurdle of the most difficult day, which is when they make a video and then edit it themselves. And like I say, I'm trying to show them literally that they can do this, and they are doing it, and they're starting to put their videos up, and it's really very heartwarming to see it. I love it when people take action.
And what's the difference between what do you think is the difference between the first group who fell out and the second group that are highly engaged? What's that?
I just think it's a numbers thing, that a lot of people signed up thinking it was going to be, they weren't going to have to really do anything, they were just going to have to learn something. Whereas this group, I think, were much more aware of what it was all about.
Okay, so did you change the messaging? So you're going to have to do something every day for 21 days?
No, I didn't. I had the same messaging on at the beginning, but I think it's just when you launch something new, you get bigger numbers the first time, don't you? And then the second time you get less people because I don't know what it is. You get less people every time you launch something, don't you? But hopefully the people who come are ones who've been recommended by people who did the first one and actually got a result from it. So,
funnily enough, my experience is the opposite, which is you get fewer people for the early adopters, and then as they get results, it grows.
Well, I hope that's going to be true. And the fact that I had testimonials from the first one, very good ones, definitely helped, I think, to attract the right kind of people to the second one.
Yeah, good.
And they're really going for it, and they don't realise. They think it's a 21-day challenge, but actually the last week is just me helping them to set up a system, an ongoing system. Yeah. So they actually don't realise it, but they're over halfway there already. So
brilliant.
Yeah, that's a nice little surprise for them as well.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, well that's us done.
It is. Yeah. I'll see you next week.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
How do they do it? Not a care and suffering. Wanna step into their world. Who holds the key?
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.